Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm continuing my new How to Linux series where I'm sharing my knowledge to help teach you the Linux CLI. We've already gone over how to navigate the file system and list the files and directories within a particular path. And today, I'm going to show you how to quickly create, view, and edit files. And we'll also quickly go over how to create directories as well. I'm going to cover a handful of commands today, so hopefully it won't be too overwhelming. But with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, and the first command we're going to start off with today is the touch command. Now, this only does a couple things that are useful, at least in my opinion. So the first thing it's going to do is just create an empty file. So in this case, I have a file 1, I believe, and I'm going to go ahead and just create a new file. So the way you use touch is you just say touch, and then you can give it a new file name, and it'll just create an empty file with that file name. It's very simple. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter here, and now I'm going to list my directory, and what we see is I now have a file called new file. I can see that it's empty right here based on the 0 bytes, and that's one way to use touch. So the other way that you can use touch is basically to change the last modified by date, which, like I said, this is the date that's seen here, date and time. And to give an example, a lot of these files I've touched today already, just to prepare for the video, but readme.txt, that one hasn't been touched in a while. So what if I wanted to just, update it to today's date? Like maybe there's something, maybe I've reviewed it, there's nothing to change, but I kind of want to signify, well, the last time that I looked at it, and even though I didn't make changes, I might want to update that date. I can go ahead and just say, okay, touch. I'm going to use readme using the shorthand text, just read and tab. And when I hit enter and then list the file, what we notice is the timestamp has now updated. So before it said October 6th, now it shows October 11th and the current time. So touch, like I said, it only does two functions really that I find useful. That is to create a new empty file or to update the last modified timestamp for a file. Very simple, very basic, and that's one way to create a file. All right, so another way to create a file, and this one's more useful, this is the one that I mostly use, and this is going to be using the vi command. Technically it's vim or vim, stands for vi improved, but this is a way we can also create a file, but after we create it, vi or vim will actually put us into an edit mode to edit the contents of a file. We can also use it to view the contents of a file and then edit it. A lot of people frown upon using VI just to simply view. Like if you know you only need to look at the file and not make any changes, VI is a bad idea to use just because you can accidentally make changes to the file and you don't want that. Like let's say you have a configuration file, everything's working, you just want to review something and use VI to edit it, and the next thing you know, you go in and you accidentally change something. You exit, maybe save it at the same time, and now things don't work. So like I said, VI is mainly used for creating a file with the intention of editing it or opening a file with the intention of editing it. So in this case, I'll show you, we'll go ahead and use new file, and I'm going to open it up for editing using the VI command. So I'm going to just type VI, and I'm going to type new and hit tab to autofill. So I'm going to just open up new file for editing, and we get some different stuff on the screen here. So on the left, you can see the little blue tilde lines. Those basically just indicate that there's nothing there. So this is an empty file. There's nothing here. At the bottom left, it tells me the name of the file that I'm in. Very quickly, I don't want to go into too much detail with VI because there's a lot of stuff you can do. But in this case, I just want to insert some text here. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm in command mode. I want to go into insert mode. And so the way you do that with VI is to just hit I on the keyboard. So if you notice in the bottom left, it now shows insert. So Now I can go ahead and type whatever I want. I can say I love Linux, and if you love Linux, give me a thumbs up. And so that's a way to edit. I can also delete. I can add back. I can use the arrow keys. Left will take me left. I can go up. It'll take me up a line, and down. I can use the right. That's the simplest way that I do it. I know there's other keys to use it. I believe it's like J, K, and L, possibly an H. But the arrow keys always work fine for me. And you can go and basically wherever the cursor is, it's going to do something to the left of the cursor. So in this case, if I wanted to delete Linux or just the X here, I'm still in insert mode. If I hit delete, I delete the X. And then if I want to insert the X back, it's going to happen on the left side of the cursor. That's typically how most prompts are, and that's how you can know where to expect text to be added. So that's a quick way to, like I said, insert text and then move around and navigate, and then you can delete as well. But so now that we have added text, we want to go back. We have to get out of insert mode with VI. So the way you do this is just hit escape. So I'm going to hit escape on the top left of my keyboard, and notice the insert mode goes away, and we see that basically I can still navigate, but if I were to try to type anything, that can get you into trouble. So right now we're in command mode, and you only want to do a few things for right now, and that would be I to get into insert mode, escape puts us in command mode, and in this case, other than just navigating, I can say, like let's say here, let's say I want to say give me a big thumbs up. So I just navigated here, I'm going to hit I. I want to add a space. I'm going to type big. So give me a big thumbs up. Once again, to exit insert mode, I'm going to hit escape. And there we go. I've just escaped out of here, and I'm able to enter back into the command mode. So now that we have gone out of command mode, or sorry, gone into command mode, what if we want to save this? Well, with VI, you use the semicolon, or I'm sorry, it is the colon, not semicolon. So you'll use the colon key, and what this does is this can allow you to enter some commands to save, or you can quit. You can also quit without saving. In this case, I want to save it. So the way you do that with VI is you're going to use W to write the file. So I'm going to hit W, and there we go. I've got my file saved, and what we can do now is, now that it's saved, if I wanted to exit, I will do a colon, and then I'm going to type Q. And so if I hit enter, it will just exit out of VI, and I'm back to the command prompt. So now there is another thing I want to show you that's pretty important with VI, because like I said, some people will use it to view a file and not meaning to edit it. That's bad. But let's say we did. I'm going to come back into new file, and let's say I go into insert mode, and I just start making a big mess, and I hit escape, I get out of it, everything's still there. One of the simplest ways to correct this, if you ever get in this predicament, is go ahead and just hit the colon and then do Q with an exclamation point. So basically, quit, it's an emergency, please get me out of here. And when I hit enter, what we'll notice is I'm going to come back in, and thank goodness, everything's been reverted back. What we basically did is we said quit without saving. If you do Q without the bang, it'll tell you, hey, you haven't written the file. And in this case, we didn't want to save the file, so we meant to do it, which is where the exclamation point basically says, yes, please just exit, or actually I'm commanding you, exit the file and get out of there and do not save the changes. So that's most of the basics of VI. We'll cover some other topics in another video. Like I said, there's a lot with VI that you can do to edit and find things and make changes. So we'll save that for another video though, and move on to our next command. All right, so the next command that I'd like to cover with you guys today is uh, the cat command. So this is it's basically short for concatenate, but cat will basically just take whatever's in the file and just write it to the prompt. Just all of it, just writes it out. Just very simple. Um, you know what? We've already know what's in new file, but readme.txt. Let's go ahead and take a look at that file. And uh, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen, and I'm going to type cat, and then I'm going to type readme.txt and use autofill with the tab feature. And so when I hit enter, it's going to just tell me what's in this file. So I've just read the contents of readme.txt, basic hello world, which if you're new to computers, and or maybe you just never understood the whole hello world thing, that's basically like your first program you ever do with computers as a programmer. So that's why people use that as an example, and I did the same here. But basically, cat just shows you the contents of a file. The other file that I had, let's see, I think it was file 1. I have a little bit more text in here, so I'm going to go ahead and, okay, so I just wrote out the contents of that file, and I'm going to scroll up here because there's a good amount of stuff. So as we can see, I'm scrolling, and I finally got to the top where I ran my cat command to show me the contents of the file. So this is a lot of text here that it went ahead and just wrote to the prompt. Very, like I said, if you want to view the whole file, use cat. It'll show you everything, and then you can just scroll up and take a look at it. However, uh, using cat sometimes isn't the best way to simply view a file. You can use cat for other things, like maybe writing out the contents, and then you could direct it to another file. We'll get into that later as well, but for now, cat is a quick and simple option to simply show you what is within a particular file in the system. All right, and so the next command we're going to cover is the more command. And when I first started using Linux, this was one of my favorite commands to go to, mainly because I didn't want to use the cat command, just to write everything out to the file system. And more does it a little bit more gracefully. It allows you to view parts of the file at a time, or one screen at a time, basically. So what we're going to do is I'm going to simply type more, and we're going to use file 1 as an example because we know what's in there. And so I'm going to hit enter, and notice I'm actually seeing the top of the file, and I can tell because of the lorem ipsum at the top left there. That's the beginning of this sample text that I have in here. And we notice on the bottom left, it's telling me I'm using more, and it tells me I'm 43% of the way through the file, which is good information. So if I want to view more of this file, I have a couple options. The first one is to simply hit enter. So when I hit enter, if you can tell, I'm basically just going down one line at a time. And as I'm going, you see the percentage go up to tell me, okay, how far have I gone through the file? So useful information there. If I want to go back, I can actually hit the B key on the keyboard, and that actually takes me back up into the file. So like I said, enter takes you down one line at a time. B will take you back. It takes you back actually a page. Now to do the opposite of that, we can also use the space bar. And what this will do is advance us one page at a time within the file. So I hit space, and notice I jumped from, what was it, 40 some percent to 89. And if I hit B, okay, now I jump back, I'm at 45%, and I can hit space. And if I hit space again, notice I reached the end of the file. So what more does is it will just return you back to the prompt after you reach the end of the file, which can be useful. You've seen the file, you've got everything you need, and now you can resume your work. But one thing I'll show you that I don't like about more, or why there's a better option, is I'm going to scroll up, and if you notice, I've got I've got a lot more text than I should. Before it was only a little bit, but notice it went back a page. I'm kind of repeating the text here. It went back a page again, back a page. Okay, and then finally, I reached the top of my where I called the more command to list the contents of file 1. And so that's one downside of using more, is everything that you see gets written to the screen, and then you would have to scroll up, or you have to kind of deal with the repetitiveness if you went forward and backward, and then you have to get to where you were. Just so you know, a quick way to get there is if you hit enter, it'll just jump down to the next line on the prompt. So that's a good way to get back down. But I want to go over a better command that you can use rather than more, and that is going to be the less command. So what we'll do is jump right in, and I'm going to type less, and I'm going to type file 1 and hit enter. Now notice the output, I'm still starting at the top of the file, but here's some differences. So before, I can hit enter and that will still go down one line. But what I like about less is I actually just use the arrow keys. If I want to go up or down, like to go down, hit the down arrow key and I go down one line. If I want to go up, I hit up, and it takes me, up one line each time. And here's another cool thing about less. If you have text that normally isn't isn't all on a new line, in this case, I know that each paragraph is actually one long line. And so with less, you can actually go to the right. So I'm going to hit the right arrow, and notice the text continues over. So I had 5 paragraphs here, and if I hit right, it's going to show me the text that is on this single line for each paragraph. And you don't get that capability in more. And so that's a useful thing. I can go back to the left as well, but if I go to the right, you'll notice this first paragraph, it actually ends, and the other one. So you can go there basically and view the line if that's how you prefer to do it. So I'm going to go all the way back to the left again. This is the normal view. Once again, with more, you could hit the space bar and it would show you more of the content, and I can do the same thing here. However, notice with less, I reached the end of the file. It did not take me back to the prompt. It simply shows me that I'm at the end of the file, which can be useful. Maybe I'm still looking. So a few other things I like about less quickly is I'm at the end of the file. What if I wanted to go to the top of the file? Well, in this case, I'm going to hit the G key on the keyboard, and that takes me all the way to the top of the page, or to the top of the file, which is very useful. And then if I want to jump back down to the end, I can use Shift G, and that takes me to the end. So it's a very useful tool. Like I said, maybe you're just perusing through and trying to find things, and that's how less is better than more. Basically, you'll hear people say less is more, and it really is in this case because of the additional functionality that less gives you to view files. Now, one thing I did want to mention as well with less, the way you get out is simply by hitting the Q key. That will quit the less command and take you back to the prompt. This is also the case with more as well. I didn't cover that because we exited the file by reaching the end. But let's say you're using more. You can also use the Q key as well, and that'll exit the more command and take you back to the prompt as well. So there you have more and less. And so now we're going to jump into how to create directories. So we know how to create files. We know how to view them now. We've used VI to actually make a few edits. And in this case, we just want to make some more directories here. So what if I wanted to make a temporary directory to store files? I do this a lot, where I say, okay, I need to move files over here. I'm gonna delete them afterward, but I'm just going to store them in a temporary directory. So I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to list the contents. And so we see the files, we see my directory, but I just want to make a temporary directory here. So I'm going to use the mkdir command, and that's how we'll type it, mkdir. So make directory, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to call it my temp directory, if I could type. All right, and when I hit enter and do a listing, we notice I have a new directory called my temp directory. I can list the contents of my temp directory. There's nothing in there, it's just an empty directory. So that's very useful. I can change into there. I can touch a sample file, and whenever I list it, I now have a sample file in my temp directory. So like I said, that's a very quick way to create a directory on the file system. Another thing I wanted to point out too, I'll go back a directory and do the listing, and what you'll notice is it created my temp directory as my user because I'm the one who created it. So that's an important thing to know. Whoever you are, that's who the directory will be created as. And then the permissions are also the same just because that's the default permissions on the system. So a couple quick things to note there. One other thing I want to tell you about mkdir, because it is useful, is let's say you need to make multiple directories. So what if I had, what if I wanted to make a bunch of folders for a team or my company? So I've got my company, and then in my company I want to have a sales team, and I want to, within sales, I want to have my online sales and then my in-store sales. Well, I could do them all separately and change in and do it, but what I'll do is I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to do make dir again, but I'm going to use a -p flag. So this is, I remember it by making your previous directories. And so I said we'd have, let's make my company, and then I want to make a sales directory, and then I want to make an online directory. So what I'll do is, if I do this, rather than it, actually I'll show you what happens if I don't use -p really quickly. So I'm going to hit enter. It can't create this. Why? Well, because my company doesn't exist. The sales directory doesn't exist. So it's just looking the furthest down to make the online directory there. So when I come up, I'm going to add -p. Now when I hit enter, the command prompt comes back. If I do a listing, I see my company. If I do a listing of my company, I see the sales directory. And then if I do sales, I see online. And now I can do the same thing again. I technically at this point don't need the -p, but what I can do is I can go ahead and type in store, and when I hit enter, now, and just another quick tidbit, what I'm doing is I'm hitting up on the arrow keys. This shows me my previous history. I just want to make sure that I was sharing that with you guys, so that way you know how I'm getting this, getting these commands up so quickly. We'll cover these in another video, maybe a little bit more in depth, but just for now, just know I'm using the up key to find my previous commands and run them again. So like I said, in this case, I want to check my company and then the sales directory. There we go. I've got a quick online directory and in-store along with the sales and my company directories. So very easy, very quick to make multiple directories with all of the previous ones necessary to use on the file system. All right, and with that, I hope that wasn't too much to go over. Like I said, there's a lot of commands in there. I didn't even get to go into as much depth as I wanted to, but I'll probably do what I did before and just make some other videos about these commands to give you a little bit more details. But right now, the important thing is we know how to create new files. We know how to go and edit those files or open up an existing file. We can make changes. We can save them. We can discard them if we need to, if we make an accident. And then we also learned several ways to simply just view the files. Like I said, VI, please do not use that to edit files. It's a bad thing to do. You'll kick yourself if you ever edit a file using VI or view a file and then accidentally edit it and break something. It happens a lot. I still do it myself, on occasion, where I open a file, I realize I opened the wrong one and accidentally make changes, and I find myself using qbang to get out of there. But like I said, that's why we went over the cat command, the more command, the less command. In my opinion, less is the better option because of everything that you can do in there. But play around with those commands, get used to them. Like I said, viewing files is a big part of what you'll do. Most things within the Linux system are in a text configuration file, so you'll use that to do a lot of changes in the future. But hopefully this has been useful for you guys. And until next time, take care and God bless.